special edition of the Kwedu Report. Joining you from Sydney, Australia, my name is Harry. Today, we are peeling back the skin on the recently concluded Zimbabwe Diaspora Tourism and Hospitality Industry Engagement Forum in Melbourne, Victoria, a high-stakes diplomatic and economic event that saw over 360 delegates engage with the Zimbabwean government.
We are here in Australia, Melbourne, where we have a diaspora engagement with the people from Zimbabwe that are dotted around Australia, but more so in Melbourne, where the largest number of Zimbabweans are.
As the Zimbabwe government intensifies its efforts to turn the diaspora from passive remittance contributors into active stakeholders in the development of the national economy, we are also examining the mechanics of this push. We are analyzing whether these forums are going to deliver on their promises of reform, or if they merely represent a sophisticated rebranding exercise designed to secure continuous vital diaspora capital. Zimbabwe's Minister for Tourism and Hospitality Industry, Honorable Barbara Rwodzi, served as the primary face of this investment drive in Melbourne, emphasizing a heritage-based tourism model as a cornerstone for reaching upper middle income status by 2030 for the Republic of Zimbabwe. Minister Rwodzi moved beyond formal rhetoric by engaging directly with participants, a move, of course, many attendees cited as a major strength of the forum. Now, her messaging focused on transitioning beyond traditional tourism into gastronomy and cultural sectors, utilizing national campaigns like ZimBho and Nhaka Yedu to frame the investment as a homecoming exercise. The minister's approach was also designed to make the participants feel valued while reinforcing that the door is open for business. The ambassador of Zimbabwe to Australia, Honorable Joe Tapera Mhishi, was also present. While the minister provided the strategic vision, the Zimbabwean ambassador to Australia, Joe Tapera Mhishi, acted as the vital driving force on the ground, working in close tandem with a local organizing committee. The ambassador spearheaded the logistical and stakeholder efforts on the ground necessary to host an event of such magnitude for the very first time in Australia. The ambassador's message was also the bedrock of the forum's execution. He emphasized that the diaspora must no longer be viewed solely as a source of remittances, but rather as critical stakeholders in Zimbabwe's infrastructure development. Now, by facilitating direct access to agencies like the Zimbabwe Investment and Development Agency, ZIDA, the forum aimed to dismantle the bureaucratic barriers that have historically inhibited or discouraged long-term diaspora investment in Zimbabwe. Now, in conclusion, let's peel back the skin on the Kwedu Report's analysis. The hybrid format allowed for impressive reach, yet participant feedback reveals a complex reality on the ground. While many, such as online participant Ms. Z, expressed that their cup was full following the sessions, others, including Mr. Blessed Marco, urged the government of Zimbabwe to address deeper structural issues. Mr. Marco specifically called for greater transparency and active efforts by the government to eliminate corruption and criminal cartels that discourage investment. When officials label tourism as low-hanging fruit, it is a clear narrative tool to steer confidence.
We have been discussing from 12 p.m. about investment opportunities that are in tourism sector back home. Why we chose to come to Australia is because after South Africa, the UK, and USA, Australia is number 4 to contribute to the diaspora remittance. We have realized that from January to June 2026 this year, $1.5 billion is coming to the country, remitted by the diaspora. And we want to tap into that to ensure that what the government has given us as special economic zones for tourism will get investment, not just foreign direct investment from internationals, but also diaspora investment from our own people. President has put in place a foreign policy that says Zimbabwe is open for business. We are friends to all and enemy to none. But as it is open for business, it's more open to the Zimbabweans. The choice of the president is to open this door first to the Zimbabweans, and more so for the fact that tourism is a low-hanging fruit in terms of investment. Any small amount of money can start tourism business. So we want infrastructure development to increase our tourism facilities, but also our tourism services. And PPPs are not just open for international, but they are also open for the diaspora and the domestic investors back home. And we want them to be a part of this. But again, the diaspora population outside the country from Zimbabwe are now coming back home regularly. And if we do not come to reach out to them, to encourage them in promotion of our Zimbabwe destination, they would not know much. They've been used over the years to go to other countries for holidays with their families, and we're encouraging them to come. So this session was about diaspora engagement for investment and destination promotion. We shall be going to Sydney, and we shall be again engaging the tour operators. Now is the branding and the marketing of the destination. Tour operators in Australia, as we are seeing international arrivals for tourism experience in our country, we want to encourage tour operators in Australia to work with our tour operators in Zimbabwe so that they move more people and we increase more international arrival from Australia. And why Australia? It's because amongst all our markets, which are being international markets, which are being led by the US, yes, the US is on top and the UK follows, and Germany, Spain and France, and now Australia is on number 4. But while it is on number 4 to be an international arrival, they are the highest spenders. So we want to encourage more Australians to come because the issue of receipts is more important than just arriving. How much they spend is very, very key. US international arrivals are quite big, and UK is quite big, as well as other countries. But the spending part of it is the Australia, which comes number 1. And we want to encourage their numbers, because if they come in bigger numbers, it means the spending is higher and the receipts are increased.
An event that is a maiden event for the Zimbabwean government and for the Zimbabwean diaspora, which is an event that has been arranged to offer the Ministry of Tourism and Hospitality Industry, that is leading a delegation made of other tourism and hospitality industry stakeholders from Zimbabwe. They have an opportunity to engage Zimbabwe's diaspora. Zimbabwe's diaspora in Australia numbers up to about 60,000 people. And most of these remain with strong connections with home. They have interest to be stakeholders in the overall development of the country, be it as philanthropists, be it as investors, be it as those who contribute towards remittances, and should it also in the form of skills transfer and knowledge sharing. And this also transcends the tourism sector, where they have interest to invest in the sector. They have also interest to share their knowledge, their skills in that sector. So I think for a Zimbabwe, which is a tourism sector that is gaining global recognition, it is important that Zimbabweans outside of the borders of the country are also stakeholders in the overall process of the development of the tourism sector. So we have a policy in Zimbabwe, leaving no one behind. And in that context also, we don't want to leave the diaspora community behind when it comes to developing the tourism sector that the government has always publicized as the one representing low-hanging fruits, quick returns to the economy. And at the moment, Zimbabwe's tourism sector is the third largest contributor to GDP. And it is important that we continue to revamp that sector, to develop that sector, so that, as we drive our economy towards an upper middle income society by 2030, tourism will be found as one of the backbones of that strong economy.
The Kwedu Report asks, will this branding be backed by the systemic removal of investment barriers, or will the door open remain obstructed by the very issues the diaspora continues to flag? As the government of Zimbabwe concludes its successful engagement in Melbourne, Victoria, the outreach tour is set to continue. The forum will now prepare to move to Sydney on 15 July, where we expect the dialogue between Harare and the diaspora to intensify further. Now, whether this investment drive translates into tangible infrastructure or remains a tactical rebranding exercise will depend on the government's response and goodwill to the cause for greater transparency and reform. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all we have for you in today's edition of the Kwedu Report. If you are just joining us, of course, don't forget to follow and like our page on Kwedu Classics on YouTube, on Instagram, on X, and of course, you can read all the latest news on our website, news.hericommedia.com. Remember to follow Kwedu News, because here we say your story is our story. We look forward to see you in Sydney on Wednesday. Have a good one.